Yeah, this is the.
That's what we know. That's what our agent really good. And now it's like a good beat. That's right.
This is out of shoes. Are you serious?
Well, from what they can tell.
That's what I remember. How's it going?
I don't know about you. I had to study a lot for both classes.
Did you work in a basket? No, sir.
These people don't work here.
I read now my signature for
They spot up a bunch of trouble sites when acquired companies and sold companies. I work on those sites and I help them get through regulatory programs. How about you?
I work for the Department of Natural Resources.
Oh, right. In what state?
Ohio. Right here in Ohio.
Oh, cool.
Commission of Water. Right now I'm working more with the Department of Health, but I'm low
Sorry, I didn't hear you like that.
Really well. Less than 15 minutes.
Did you make something
to
Copeland has
Safety is eating our whole dish thing.
Roasted vegetable medley, roasted potatoes, quarantine vegetarian stuffed shells, fillet of soles stuffed with matchstick vegetables and dressing, what's left, 56 pounds of top round roast beef. Okay. Congratulations on your retirement, Dr. Ahmad. It's a pleasure doing your retirement day. Death by chocolate is done by our pastry chef Kevin Hurst. Very rich, bittersweet chocolate. We also have a Napoleon, which is a puff pastry stuffed with nectarines, whipped cream, and then drizzled with a chocolate buttercream.
Moid Ahmad, and especially welcome to Mr. Wheeler. The many former students of his that are here tonight, many of whom have traveled a long way to be with us tonight. Now I believe on occasions such as this, it is customary to shower the guest of honor in accolades. And indeed several of the former students have asked to say a few words. However, as these formalities are entirely unrehearsed, I can't be certain whether these few words will be directed at Moid, or whether these students are simply taking this opportunity to defend their theses for Moid. In any event, as survivors of Moid's hydro sequence, I'm not sure if accolade is what they have in mind. So I thought I'd start the proceedings on a positive note. To the very least. As many of you know, at the request of the department and with the approval of the college, the Ohio Board of Regents has granted Moid the status of Emeritus Professor of Geology just last week. But for reasons it's an award granted in recognition of a lifetime of outstanding teaching, research, and service. But for reasons I covered by Fallon, all the Regents does not issue a certificate of this recognition event, and so we have taken it upon ourselves to create one. And I'd like to start the formalities by presenting Moid. Congratulations. say there a few words. I dread to think what this might bear. We're starting with Ian Gillis, then over to Matt Jackson, then BJ, you're on the floor, Simon McGarrett, and Ian, the floor is yours.
It takes a very special person for me to drive 6.5 hours with my screaming 2-year-old in the back seat to attend a party that's going to only last a couple of hours. This special party is for a very special person for Dr. Moid. I attended OU from 1987 to 1991. I'm the direction of Dr. During that time, my most memorable memories include performing a contest in the middle of the night, studying every single body part. Listening to his little sayings, he was cooking up. His cooking up was right on the money. And how he does it, I still don't know. Being one of Dr. Ahmad's TAs were known as either the Moid Boys or the Moid Angels. It was quite prestigious to me. Some other things you say, you must love me well. You must love me well more than you love your girlfriend. I stand with a stone. Others include, just go do it. One day I looked in his office and he says to me, Ian, you must watch these girls. You are here to study and not to muck around. We're at midway way. One of the most memorable occasions were the workshop parties. They were fantastic parties, and Mrs. Ahmad cooked fantastic. And I love good food. His dedication to his students, one occasion that just struck me quite significantly. He returned from an operation, back to his class in 3 days right after surgery. That's just awesome. Dedication. And one of the last memories I have with Dr. Ahmad, there was one Sunday he called me up and he said, "Are you sleeping?" My wife answered the phone and she just threw right into it. "We worked 70 hours with you, damn it. Not only 1 day with him." I thought for sure I was going to be kicked into the program. He's happy to stand his head in my wedding. The enormous workload that he put upon all of his students, which we were required to do, has prepared us and enabled us to have very successful careers in geology and engineering. That should be already. In closing, I just hope that your future adventures will be as great as the adventures I had here. Thank you very much, Dr.
My name is Pat Jackson, and I'm a Moid boy. It's kind of like a 12-step program. There are quite a few people that are in the room that have been through a series of tests and classes called Hydro 1, 2, and 3. And If anybody's been through it, it can be called a Moid boy. Moid girl. Well, that was before the political correctness. But I would like everybody that's been through Hydro 1, 2, and 3, if they could stand up just to see how many Moid people we have here. If you made it through Hydro 1, 2, and 3, you usually got a job, a real nice job. There are a lot of people that went through Hydro 1, 2, and 3, skipped the thesis and went straight to industry. And there are hundreds of people out there. And for all those people out there in industry, I want to thank you. Also, as Ian said, if you work with Moid, you did a lot of pump tests. And I did a lot of pump tests, and the guy that showed me how to do the first pump test, besides Dr. Ahmad, is Millibon, who made it here tonight. He showed me how to do the pump test and how to give the football team a shower at the same time. That was back when they were bad. Also, if you did the summer field hydrology, you got to drill another hole on the golf course. And I don't know if anybody here see a blowout out there? We had one. Dr. Ahmad was saying, call the paper, call the paper. It was big news. Luckily, we got under control. And also, I had the pleasure of writing a couple papers with Dr. Ahmad. One of them we presented at the International Groundwater Conference in Johannesburg in 1984, which I enjoyed co-authoring that with you. And also, one thing that I always remember, we wrote a response to a paper, and he said, okay, read this paper and go in and see what kind of, we're gonna add a section on to the end of it. So I went and read the paper, and I came back and I said, well, I don't believe this, and this wrong, this wrong. And he said, no, let's not focus on what they did wrong. Let's look at what we've done right, and that's our response. And so that's the kind of guy Dr. Ahmad is, and that's always stuck with me. So for all the rest of your graduate students, I want to say thank you very much.
Dr. Ahmad, there's something ironic about me being allowed to stand here while you sit. And I think I really have given this a lot of thought. And I was probably doing the same talk during the hydro workshop whenever you weren't looking. I can name the same things. I can name 3 o'clock in the morning trying to calibrate the model, and it's all because the number 1 is in the wrong location, right? But Dr. Ahmad didn't care. It had to be in the right location. John Bomba and I worked together an awful lot doing that type of work, or again, pump tests where I can remember being in the box with the pump test getting ready for I think it was my workshop though, and the pump starts to cavitate and you're thinking, you can lose your life in order to get this master's degree. Is it worth it or not? The things that I remember most, I can honestly say this, aside from my wife, Dr. Ahmad has truly influenced my adult life more than any other human being, anyone. And obviously it's can be very touching at this moment, but I'd like to tell you what I noticed more about Dr. Ahmad was his mannerisms. And There was, you would do it. There was go and do it. There was cook it up. Right? All of these things. And I can remember, it's just like when, now I'm not a parent yet, but you vow that you're not going to do what your parents do, right? My people get it from me. I'll bang my desk and say, just go and do it. They don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but the things that Dr. Ahmad got me ready for in the real world, technically, right, the Moid boys, and I'm glad, who was it? Somebody made us stand up, right? And I'm very proud to be part of that group. It is the most elite group that I'm a member of. And if you're a Moid boy or a gal, as the case may be, it doesn't really matter. Gender in specific. Gender means nothing when you're in the program. Use it anyway. Dr. Ahmad taught me perseverance and determination to go and do it. He taught me negotiation skills, and this was in the workshop. I would sit in the office, and Dr. Ahmad would get on the telephone. And as we know in academia, finances are always a big problem. He would sit at his desk, pick up the phone, he'd dial. Of course, nothing was in a Rolodex, it was, wherever, whatever stick. Hello? Yes, this is Dr. Ahmad, HMAT. Well, this year we are having the workshop again. Yes, well, we will be needing your services. We will not pay you, but we will have it. I think there might be a room or two at the end. You will call them, okay, I will need you here on June 8th, and you have to work all day. I expect you well by, June 10th or something like that. This is not important, by the 10th. Okay, then, okay, thank you. Okay, bye. Okay, bye. Dr. Ahmad taught me the importance of good health. Actually, Mrs. Ahmad, who we all know, and we all know Mrs. Ahmad is taking good care of Dr. Ahmad. She is the power behind Dr. Ahmad. Dr. Ahmad would even tell us how you would cook for him and take care of him, so we all know that. But good health, I saw the need for good health, Dr. Ahmad would tell us of his ache or pain. Once in a while, not often, they're usually all the time, right? He would walk down the hallway, and John Bomba comes out of the lab one day, he says, and Dr. Ahmad's literally just, yes. Bomba sticks his head out of the door and says, Dr. Ahmad, London's on the phone. London, get down, get in your phone! Oh, this is my personal favorite, right? Dr. Ahmad taught me about confidence, but also about how, when behind closed doors, you have to push yourself, right? You push your friends, you push your colleagues. Dr. Ahmad, of course, pushed all of us as students, and probably some other colleagues here. I think it was a representative from Shell Chemical, or it might have been Chevrolet. I can't remember. I was in Hydro 3. There were about 3 of us in Hydro 3 at that time. And Hydro 3, we all know, and those of us who don't, we're not joking. Hydro 3, it is blood. You are working and working and working. And you take this test and you open this test and you think, have I ever seen this material before? Impossible, because I've studied for weeks, months, right? We took this test. This was the day that we were getting the test back. The representative from Shell was talking to Dr. Ahmad, and I just happened to be walking by, and I overheard the conversation, and I heard Dr. Ahmad saying, well, you can come and talk to the boys, but they are the very best. They are the best, and this class in particular is the best I have ever seen. So, you will offer them the job, and you will want them to drive the big red car, but They will just tell you, "Poof, shoot, you go away from me." I heard this, and then so I shuffled down. I heard him and sit down. Moid comes in. He's got the test. Hesitates at the garbage can. He says, "You are the greatest stupid people in the world." True story. Each one. I go to my grade. That is all true. Dr. Ahmad also taught me the importance of humor. I hope he taught me the importance of humor. There's a student, I'm not going to name him by name, right? He was a Moid boy, so you know he's at the top. He's the best in the industry. Okay? I mean this. We also know that theses, right? We wrote dissertations for our master's degrees, and we know that as well. But this person, there was a one line of code wrong in a computer code in this thesis. This thesis was passed 10 years prior, but it was something that I was working on. I found this problem in the code. I went to Dr. Ahmad and said, "Look, I'm going to change this code. I need to use this program, but I'm going to change the code." He wrote the code. I'll put his name there, but I'm going to modify it. But there was a slight variation in the calculation. You would think you just change it, right? Not Dr. Ahmad. On the phone, he calls this guy dead middle of the afternoon at his business, says, "Hello? Yes," I'm going to use the guy's name will be John. We'll just say that. It's not his name. "Yes, John, this is Dr. Ahmad. Yes. Well, you know, we have found a problem in your thesis. And as a result, you know, you're going to have to, defend again." He covers the phone. He was dead serious. He covers the phone and looks at me and goes, "Okay, then, we will be back in touch with you. Okay, then. Okay, bye." Dr. Ahmad, she was a teacher, and then you were my advisor, and subsequently after that I would call you my mentor. I've called you in the last 5 years, and now truly a friend. Thank you.
Gonna be tough to second that. I had the pleasure of being one of Dr. Ahmad's Moid boys from 83 to 85, and worked downstairs in his lab for several years. There's so many stories that one can tell about him, and there's not enough time here, of course, to go through it, but I took the time to write a limerick about some of the experiences, and I've called it Ode to Moid. And I'll try to read it and think about it. "'Twas the mid-80s when to Athens we came, welcome to OU, he would proclaim. It was Dr. Ahmad, our professor, with that fake tie, what a dresser. Complete with an MS was our aim. He said, someday you will complete your MS degree, a fantastic feat. It will take years of hard work, and at times you may go berserk, but to finish your program will be sweet. Through day and night we would slave until the last Friday night gave way. To a party at the Nance's to drink wine and try some dances. Next thing we knew, it was Monday. Mitch, Mark, Tom, and all the others, we soon knew we would be brothers. With help from Edie and Fred, they really helped us get ahead. We knew this master's program was like no other. And with Milovan Belchin as our fearless DA, he kept the confusion at bay. The hydro courses were tough, but we could never get enough until Moid announced, I always give engineers an A. I know we will never forget it, that Dr. Ahmad doesn't give partial credit. Frequent homework he would assign just to hear us whine, and then he would laugh, for which he would do it. One day, Moid said with glee that we're drilling OU well number 3. On the golf course it was a gusher, and free gas for campus it would usher. Hey Dean, could you give us another PC? So many memories of what we could write. The mysteries of hydrology showed us the light.
water moving through his strata, and Moid saying, well, you just cookied at it. We knew everything would be all right. Madi Touche, Moid's professor of yours, some things you just can't ignore. Like solving the flow equation with just a slide rule, that was amazing. Our teacher here at OU was hardcore. During a memorable thesis defense, Moid would yell, but what is the source of that well? Tahir Abufila stood for a while and then said with a smile, only time will tell. But of the stories we were told, the big one that never got old was the time in Iraq with bombs dropping on the tarmac, Moid saying, the colonel better pay me in gold. His words stood the test of time. To forget these would be a crime. I know I won't overlook the line in my notebook that if you cannot find the water, then you are not worth a dime. Some nights studying we didn't enjoy. Hey, our MS degree is not a toy. Someday it will be our turn to start our own consulting firm, so call us, 1-800-MOID-BOY. And through the long years, our hard work tempered with fears, the Mardi Gras of the Midwest, our time at OU was the best, but we had to leave town to start our careers. So now, Dr. Ahmad, we say to a great man who led the way, our futures look bright from your training and insight, your time and energy we never repay. Thank you.
My name's Mitchell, and I'm a Moid boy. You know, I had worked on a very diligent script to present this evening for about the last 15 minutes. We were sitting here over dinner, and I gotta tell you, I never met Pat Jackson, and I never met this fellow back here, but the stories that they both presented are exactly what I heard. I heard that same phone call. I was in there a bunch of times and I saw that same thing. You had it cold. And when he tells you about what we went through and all those people who stood up, no matter what vintage or what year the students were here, it was the same. Hydro 1, Hydro 2, Hydro 3. Can't help but bring a grin to your face if you experience that. And the story about the guy from Shell Oil, where he came in, I gotta tell you, because the first year that I showed up here, which was 1982, a Jewish guy from Pittsburgh with a geology degree, with an accent, when I got here, that I was getting jagged by a guy from Britain about how I talk. And when I got here, in case some of you think back how far 1982 is, and how many students really, Dr. Ahmad, you have affected, I want to refresh you on some of the things. 1982, I took the required Fortran class at Ohio University on a card reader. Some of you may remember that technology. I also had a little more hair at that time. Cleveland had a football team. And geology was taught in Porter Hall, which was a place that, for those people who went through there, is synonymous with Alcatraz. What I found when I got here was a bunch of wine drinkers with a serious geology problem. On top of that, they were all led by this short foreign guy. And I'm thinking, is this really what I want to take more student loans out? Is this a really wise move? I soon started to appreciate the things that you get at OU, and I want to share with you some of those things that I will never forget. We all know what an eloquent lecturer Dr. Ahmad was, and how clear he was in delivering the book. And I too have a test story to share with you. The first test that we took as future MS students, Dr. Ahmad pranced into the room and laid the papers down, and I picked up my test, and I had received a 3. I had studied for what seemed like hundreds of hours to get a 3. And Dr. Ahmad, with his warm and cajoling way, we all know how sensitive a guy he was when you were a little downtrodden about how your studies were going, looked over at me and just said, "Just do better," in his own voice. And sure enough, I felt warmer. I felt more cajoled, and I was thinking about those student loans again. And I don't think there's anybody in this room who can forget the Hocking River problem. That was the perpetual problem that evolved from Hydro 1 to Hydro 2 to Hydro 3. And really, at the end of the day, became the core or the focus of the work that we did. And it meant something different to everybody. Everyone who's talked has talked about these influence pump tests. And believe me when I tell you, there are people who have had 10 years of real-world experience who have never, ever cut their teeth on the kinds of problems that we did in 1 year here. And BJ said, he'd look at that test and say, "Did I see this material somewhere before?" I've studied for hours and hours. And Dr. Ahmad, one of the things that you gave to all of us here was that the lessons weren't necessarily in the books, but how you applied what we were doing. And how that transpired into making you a creative thinker. And the biggest lesson that I walked away from my years here at OU was just that, is that it wasn't all in the books, it was how you applied it and what you learned from those lessons while you were doing it. And the phrase that really makes that a statement that permeates that is, "You just cook it up," he used to say. And true enough, to this day, I'm still getting mileage out of that same phrase. I'm still cooking it up, Dr. Ahmad. It's still working for me. I'm still getting by with it. I want you to know that. It really is working. Let me clarify a few things. Dr. Ahmad, if you remember, would come in and give a lecture, and we had a machine called a transparency machine that the other professors would prepare their lectures on and have a series of overheads that would have basically the class outline notes on them in bulleted fashion or some sort of outline that you could follow for the day. Dr. Ahmad's approach to the overhead machine was slightly different. He would whip out a thick felt marker and draw on the overhead machine and stand in front of the overhead machine. Now remember, we're trying to take notes here. This is important stuff. And then he'd get about 3/4 of a page down, handwritten notes with a thick marker, doing differential equations and all kinds of math stuff. And then he'd get out a paper towel out of his pocket and go, "I don't think this is right." He'd lick the towel, and he'd start rubbing on it. And then he'd fill in with another color. And then he goes, "There it is. See?" And for those who were, it was Millibon who helped us interpret. The guy from Belgium with a strong accent who helped us interpret those equations. But I will say this, Dr. Ahmad, for all those people who came before me and all those people who came after me, the stories are very similar, and with a heartfelt thank you very much. We all appreciate it. Okay.
hardworking, very good student. So you should believe what he says. Yeah? You know, when I joined Ohio University in 1970, it was by chance. I was working in Kuwait, and I got a job, I got my PhD from University of London, and Brookshire, it's like an imperial college, my tea here. He was my, not an advisor, but he is the one who took my dissertation. And so when it was, the system in England is different than here. Here you have to get a lot of courses. There you want to go to PhD, you go and work on a problem, and you write a dissertation, and you get a PhD. If they approve. So when I got my PhD and I went to Brookshire from Imperial College, and he said, "What are you doing now?" I said, "Doing nothing." He said, "Well, there's a job in Kuwait. You go over there. They're looking for a hydrologist." So I went down there. We developed a team. We found water for her. And finally, there were some other people down there who were helping me. There was one in the family, I needed an American girl. He said, "What are you doing here, Dr. Ahmad?" These are available. A hydrologist will get a job. So to go, and he said, "You are a hydrologist." So they gave me a blanket visa to go for my children. And then I landed here. So I advertised the position. I came here. At that time, the hydrology was not taught except maybe in few universities in the United States, maybe in Arizona or New Mexico. Or maybe some other ones, I don't know. At the time, there was no hydrology, no such thing as hydrology taught in the university. So I had to start, I have got to create my own course. Whatever the work I have done, I created a Hydro 1, which is surface hydrology, because the surface hydrology is connected to groundwater hydrology, water in River Hocking, leaks also, and recharges the aquifers. And you have to know not only the surface hydrology, groundwater hydrology, and then you have modeling. Modeling is a game you play. You can make model work in any way you want it to. Look at that. Match it, somehow. And this is what we do, still they do it. Most of the time the models are not right. But you saw it. You're sitting down, oh, this model is so important. You have got to verify the reality. And if you verify it, means if they are predicting it also, the same thing will happen. So I developed the courses without any type of courses which not what are available in the United States, maybe in one or two universities. And it was a tough situation, I wanted to create a program, knowing it that ultimately people who are on a degree, they will get a job. They did get a job. They were all placed, nice and good companies, which are, some of them are holding very good positions. I do admit that I was a tough professor. In some ways, I worked hard because I created a program that didn't exist here at that time. And I wanted to mold the students so that they learn as much as they can possible. I never said that I'm an excellent teacher, not a teacher like the other teachers are, spoon food you, and they can give you good grades because they want a good evaluation. My evaluations were never very good also. But I didn't care about it. I did what I think was that the students become first-rate students, they go and they have become very good ones. Look at example of you and Marwan and some others, and Ian, he learned it, he helped a lot in creating a well protection program. He's working on that. We build the wells around our university and around the hockey well and all over the place. Monitoring system, There are models that can be done, you can predict it. There is no such thing as a substitute for actual observations. How the water level is going to behave, how much it will go down, and ultimately you can match it with the models. But the field data is vital for a good hydrologist. And this is what I taught them. I admit that I was a very hard teacher, professor, but I learned it myself, what programs you should be created for the students, and I created a unique program, except maybe in some other universities there are people from maybe some other better universities. You might have it, better one, maybe Arizona, I think, is that right? I don't know at that time it existed or not, I don't know. But I couldn't find a book who will be able to teach what I was in my mind in the practical field, and I taught practical hydrology really. And I also learned this in Pakistan, working down there. They were doing the seismic survey, they were involved in that one because there's some experts from England and all those places, and they say, okay, you from Egypt, from Europe, and they said, well, you must do first the sensitivity survey, you must do this one, and you must do this one, as if they are going to drill an oil. My contention was that you can go any place down there, throw a stone and drill it, and you will find the water. So what is the use of doing all this seismic survey and all kinds of waste of money, which I call it, because the oil industry also, whenever they go any place down there, they by intuition or just by throwing a stone, they drill it first, and then they make the lithology. And this is what I taught my students. This is what we do. Whether I was successful or not, but I know it, that what job positions you have obtained, and the companies hired you, most of the students have been very, very successful. So this is the end of it. As long as the professor is able to teach it, teaching system is different now, This teaching system, maybe dean is here, they must listen to it, what is happening in the universities, most of the professors have got to do the paperwork, they have to satisfy the dean, not the students. They have got to teach in such a way that satisfy the deans and the super deans and whatever they are. I wish that the university would change their thinking that the ultimate responsibility of teaching depends on the professor, not on the deans, not on the administration. Our universities are becoming nothing else but a kind of a, what do you call them, paper machine. It's time for universities to wake up and see that the professors are the ultimate, they are the ones who are responsible, not the deans, not the president of the university and all that, They are all administrative pieces. Their job is to provide the best services and best money to the professors rather than to the administrators. This is what is needed in the university. And as long as the universities behave like this one, the university will be nothing else but a third grade schools. That's what they are making them. For a job in the university, high quality professors depend on the department, what they do, not what is imposed on them. And the professor's job is provide the best possible knowledge to this student, up-to-date knowledge. And the grades depends on them. A lot of the professors give everybody an A. I would never give that one. Because they want a good evaluation. I never got a good evaluation. I never slept on it. I think I don't know what else I have to say.
I believe it's also customary in occasions such as this to present the guest of honor with a token of appreciation. In Moid's case, however, a gift is not an easy thing to find. Moid would have very little use for a gold watch, and we have ascertained that they don't make gold-plated caskets. Oh well. And anyway, what do you buy the man who drilled the well that holds the world record for the shallowest blowout? Well, as we all know, Moid rebels in controversy. I think we've just seen that. And since he moved to California, he's already been able to say, "I told you so," to the US government at the Yucca Nuclear Repository, and has found his way into the local newspaper with a rather controversial solution to the remediation of the pollution problem at Lake Elsinore, his current home. So we thought it would be marvelous to find a gift that would foster this his position in the limelight in California. Some of you may not be aware that Moid is not just a hydrogeologist, but he is also a geophysicist. In fact, he earned his doctorate in Britain on a geophysical study of the Great Glen Fault in Scotland. And now he lives beside the Elsinore Fault in California, an active segment of the San Andreas system, in part of California where everyone is waiting for the big one. So what better solution than to give him the means of monitoring the activity of Southern California faults, and so be in a position to tell everybody what was going on. So we decided to give him a seismograph. So Moid, on behalf of the very grateful department, I'm giving you some reading material for your return trip. This is the operation manual for a computer interfaced horizontal seismograph, which will shortly be arriving on your doorstep in Lake Elsinore in two gigantic boxes. Busy and always in the center of attention. And Olia, you must look after him for us and point him in the direction of the seismograph whenever we start getting. And in closing, I should say there is a guest register at the front door, which we are hoping to give to Moid to take back with him. So if you haven't had an opportunity to sign it, please do so. This will be a memento of this occasion for him. And now I suggest we start mingling once again and stretch our legs. Thank you, Moid.